I do love me some Lapidus Pour Homme. How are you guys doing? Matt here, and welcome to this fragrance video. It is currently Wednesday night, and I'm enjoying doing a few videos for you guys. It's good to be back. I know that I've been away for a long time. So in this video, I thought I would bring you a fragrance that I reviewed way back in the day on my channel. This is like 3 years ago or something like that. I don't exactly know how long I've been on YouTube, but let's just say it was a while ago. And this was, I believe, the second fragrance that I ever reviewed on the Fragrancematt channel. And it is, of course, as you guys saw, Lapidus Pour Homme by Ted Lapidus. Now, this fragrance was, of course, an 80s scent. It came out in 1987. But it's definitely one of my favourite fragrances of all time. And in this review, you're going to know exactly why. Of course, this fragrance has been out for a long time. Again, 1987 it came out. This is the version you can get today. However, in this, and I've got two of these, by the way. I've got 2 bottles of the version of today. But I have got a vintage version from, I believe this is from 1987. This is a first edition. And you can really see the quality in the bottle. You know, like this bottle here is more light grey, whereas this one is like a marble grey, and you can really see the effect in the grey glass. So for this review, we're going to be rating it and, you know, reviewing this fragrance side by side. This is a video that I've wanted to do for so long because, as you guys know, this is one of my favourite sort of 80s fragrances, and just in general one of my favourite fragrances of all time. And I thought, why not review it again? You know, I've reviewed other fragrances, you know, like Balenciaga Pour Homme, as you guys know, but Lapidus Pour Homme, not so much. So I thought I would go back and retrace my steps a little bit and go into a little bit more detail about this fantastic fragrance that I just love, love, love so much. So guys, let's talk about the presentation. Now, I have the box right here, and this is for the vintage, by the way. The new version for Lapidus Pour Homme is exactly the same. They pretty much haven't changed the presentation for the box, apart from if you buy this fragrance nowadays, you'll get this little silver sticker in the corner. However, this one doesn't have it because it is, of course, a vintage. I picked this vintage up, and I think I paid about £28 for this. It had only been sprayed once, I think, and I think the guy had it for, again, almost 30 years, over 30 years, so incredible, right? So yeah, let's pretty much just get straight into the design. So the design for the box, we get this really nice white marble effect. We get you get gold in between as well, and we get Lapidus Pour Homme up there with gold. We get Eau de Toilette natural spray, and we get Parfums Ted Lapidus Ted Lapidus Paris underneath. And we get some information on the back here, just, you know, the where the place is and stuff. It's got on the back like where they manufactured it as well, so it's distributed by Ted Lapidus Incorporated. I don't know if it still is distributed by Ted Lapidus. I think it's actually made by Jacques Bogart Fragrances. I could be wrong, but this one is actually made by Ted Lapidus, the company themselves. So yeah, let's talk about the bottle now. So this is the vintage. Beautiful bottle design in my opinion. We get this nice retro look up here. It's black, and we also get gold underneath. We get gold trim around here. Lapidus Pour Homme underneath. We get underneath there Eau de Toilette Ted Lapidus Paris, and we get 3.3 fluid ounce, 100 ml, 85% volume. And the version of today is like this. Exactly the same design basically, apart from the grey glass is definitely cheaper. It doesn't look like it's been well made whatsoever compared to the vintage. Not being biased, but you know, you can definitely see, I mean, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this is like a darker grey, and it just looks better in my opinion. I believe this is only 82% volume, whereas the vintage is 85. And this was the first bottle of Lapidus that I ever bought, and this stuff is nuclear. However, this stuff is beyond nuclear. So let's just get straight in and talk about the notes for Lapidus Pour Homme by Ted Lapidus. Now, in terms of who designed this fragrance, I literally have no idea. Because on base notes, it says one perfumer, and it says another perfumer on Fragrancematt. Apparently, according to base notes, it was created by this guy. I actually can't pronounce his name. Jacques Conquier? I don't even know how to pronounce his name, and you know, I feel rude for saying it like that. But apparently this is the only fragrance he's ever created. Now let's look at it on Fragrancematt. because I want to know who made it. I really do. So apparently it was that guy on Base Notes, and apparently on Fragrantica, it was made by Martin Gras. I think that's how you pronounce it, Martin Gras. Let's look at what else he's created. And he's made a lot of fragrances. He's made 1881 by Cerruti. He's made Bogner Woodman, of course, by Bogner. He's made Daylight for Women by Gabriella Sabatini. He's made a lot of fragrances. Made quite a lot. Not a lot of fragrances that I've heard of. He hasn't exactly made any new ones. I mean, the newest one he made was from 2012, and that was Cerruti 1881 Serie Limite, which I haven't actually heard of. But he did, of course, create the original 1881 back in 1990. So, yeah, I don't know who made this fragrance. So if you guys know for certain who designed Lapidus Pour Homme, please do let me know. Was it Jacques Conquier or Martin Gras? Please do let me know. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to be reading the reviews from Fragrantica because I found that there's more notes in the Fragrantica review, whereas there is on Base Notes. I find a lot of the notes in Fragrantica are definitely more visible, so that's the reason I'm reading off Fragrantica. So let's get straight into it. So the top notes are Artemisia, pineapple, juniper berries, basil, bergamot, lemon, and lavender. So let's do it. Let's spray... I've got no room. Oh no, I can do it on here. So let's spray the vintage on here and the new version on here. So the vintage... Actually no, we'll spray the new version first. Here we go. And we're going to spray the vintage on the other. So the spray is amazing for that vintage. It just gives you a huge blast. Woo! That smells good. Okay, so in terms of the smell, what I get is just this amazing aroma. Like, for those who haven't smelt Lapidus Pour Homme, you guys are missing out. Especially if you're fans of, you know, Yves Saint Laurent Kouros. If you are a big fan of Kouros, I guarantee you will worship this fragrance. This fragrance is definitely getting popular, and for a good reason. Because this fragrance is very inexpensive. You can pick up a 100ml bottle of the new version for, I think, like, really cheap. I think it's like less than 20 quid here in the UK. So the opening to me, I definitely get this Artemisia, very floral, but I definitely do get this lavender and pineapple note. Bearing in mind I'm smelling the new version here, and I do definitely get a nice smell. It's very, very unique. Very, very unique. The lemon is creamy in this fragrance. It kind of smells to me like a lemon tart. I get like a dessert type lemon smell. Juniper definitely gives this fragrance that green vibe, and it's along with that. Juniper berries definitely gives the fragrance a lot of greenness. Basil gives it a lot of herbal qualities, and I think the herbal touch that this fragrance has gives it sort of like a barbershop opening as well, because it's clean as well as being very unique. Yeah, I think that the citruses as well in this fragrance, it's just gorgeous. It's a really, really good fragrance. So let's move to the vintage. Now, the vintage isn't as sweet as the version of today. The newer version today has much more of a modern appeal to it. It actually, even though it smells like an 80s scent, like the new version, it still has that same smell. But the sweetness that this one has is definitely in there. So you can definitely imagine a lot of guys my age liking it. For example, Lex Ellis is one of them, right? Can't beat Lex's love for this. And this version definitely doesn't have the sweetness. The vintage has more of that macho-ness. It definitely has much more of that dirty vibe. It actually has that Kouros type of smell to it, but that pineapple, the lavender, and the other notes in this fragrance that I am going to mention soon really does give Lapidus that unique touch. I remember smelling this fragrance for the first time, like way back when I reviewed it, and let me just shut the door. And I remember the fragrance just blew my mind the first time I smelled it. I was just like, wow, I've never smelled a fragrance quite like this. And it is indeed a very unique fragrance, and I don't think a lot of people might like it. If you like unique, quirky type of fragrances and you're looking for something that's really different, you need to go for this, guys. And when you smell it, you wouldn't really think that it was released in the 80s, because it's strong for an eau de toilette, but you can imagine a niche company coming out with something like this. Like, I can imagine a niche company, I mean, I don't know if there is a fragrance from a niche company already out there that might smell like this, but you can imagine like a niche company sort of taking inspiration from this and making it into something else. I would actually really love to see that happen. Because to me, Lapidus Pour Homme, even though it was released like over 30 years ago, the smell to me is really, really incredible. Now, as this fragrance is dried down on your skin, it definitely becomes more of a sweet fragrance, especially with the newer version. It gets a lot sweeter. And the notes that we get in the middle, we get pine tree. Pine tree? Oh, it says pine tree. We get honey, orris root, jasmine, caraway, petitgrain, lily of the valley, rose, Brazilian rosewood, and incense. Wow, we get so many middle notes. But I get a lot of those, if I'm honest with you. I do get, without a doubt, I get a lot of jasmine, I get a lot of lily of the valley, basically just mixed with that lavender just to create this really nice, unique bouquet floral smell, along with notes like that honey and that pine tree. Just overall gives this fragrance that green, soapy, but oriental smell as well. In fact, you know what, guys? This fragrance goes in so many different directions. One minute you smell the honey, one minute you smell the pine, one minute you smell jasmine. You just get so many notes coming in at once, and it just literally smells incredible. That incense, oh my god, that incense is incredible. Doesn't really smell like a particular incense, so it doesn't really smell like a myrrh, it doesn't really smell like a frankincense or something like that. It smells like the inside of a church. That's the type of smell that I get. Like, there's already been incense lit, like prior to me going in the church, so it's in the air, and I get this like leathery type of smell as well. So I am getting this overall nice incensey vibe. Brazilian rosewood and rose. Yeah, I guess I do get a lot of rose. Quite strongly, actually. Yeah, quite strongly, and you don't really realize it. So yeah, it's quite nice. Oh wow. The vintage to me just pretty much smells like honey. That macho-ness is still there, but I definitely get more of a honey vibe. A little bit of jasmine as well. And I suppose the incense is there, but it's definitely not as strong as it is in the new version, if you know what I mean. I'm amazed at how different these smell. I mean, like, smelling them side by side, you can tell it's the same fragrance, but the vintage just has so much qualities to it. Although the new version as well has so many qualities to it, that's also really good. So trying to pinpoint which one I prefer so far, I don't know. I mean, I love them both, right? And in terms of the dry down, we get sandalwood, tonka bean, amber, patchouli, musk, oak moss, cedarwood, and tobacco. Now, tobacco isn't exactly fleeting in this fragrance, although a lot of people wouldn't agree with that. A lot of people would say, yeah, you get a lot of tobacco in this, which, to be honest, there is a bit of a tobacco vibe there, but I wouldn't exactly say it was tobacco. I would say there's more incense than there is tobacco. But in terms of the dry down, it's more ambery, definitely sweet. The cedar wood in there gives it a nice pencil shaving smell in the dry down, but the overall uniqueness of the floral bouquet and the citruses in the top just overall just lingers throughout the whole fragrance. So when you get to the dry down, you're just left with this astonishing fragrance, guys. Really astonishing scent. And you know what? It's a real shame because I don't even know who designed this scent. It's given me two names on two different fragrance directories, and I don't even know who designed it. So it would be great to know who really did make this fragrance, because whoever did make this scent deserves something like a medal, you know, because it really is an incredible fragrance. So in terms of the smell, it smells fantastic. So let's move away from that and talk about the longevity. Now the longevity, guys, this is going to get one of the best ratings I've ever thrown out there, because this fragrance, even though it says it's an eau de toilette, right there, eau de toilette, this should be an eau de parfum, straight up. Then again, I have eau de parfums in my collection which don't last as long as this. So this fragrance to me is one of a kind in terms of its strength. It lasts for over 14 hours on my skin, no joke. Lasts even longer on clothes. So if you do want it to last a long time on yourself, wicked. Just spray once on your neck, that is going to do it. But if you also want it on your coat, one spray on your coat and you are set to go. And the sillage on this fragrance, guys, as you can imagine, for having great longevity, the sillage is absolutely brilliant. It projects for like 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, no joke, once you've applied. Depending on how much you apply, of course, it will be really strong, but I would not recommend spraying more than 3 times with this. I know there's a lot of people out there, including Sprody in the fragrance community, Steven Sprode. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, you need to. He's an amazing reviewer. Unless you're him, don't overspray. Sorry, Steven. Amazing scent, guys. Would highly recommend it, seriously. But in terms of the perfect setting, this fragrance does very well in your own space, because even though, I mean, if you're older and you feel more confident, then fair enough, you can wear this. But I don't really wear this a lot if I'm going out, because again, this fragrance, you're either going to love it or you're either going to hate it. To me, it's a masterpiece. I prefer just to smell it in my own time, because, you know, I find it more of a, it's definitely more of a trophy in my collection rather than an actual physical bottle that I would pick up and spray, especially the vintage. However, this one hasn't even been used. This is my first bottle. I'm still not even through this, so whenever I want to spray myself and smell good, I'll do it in my own time. So yeah. So guys, that has been my review for Lapidus Pour Homme by Ted Lapidus. I do hope you guys have enjoyed this review. Please do let me know in the comments what you think of this review and what you think of Lapidus Pour Homme. And of course, guys, thank you so much for watching. There will be one more review after this. Keep smelling good and stay tuned. Bye-bye for now.